I just think it's really funny. The absolute lack of game sense that I have noticed at the higher ranks in Valorant, the video game, that I've recently been putting hundreds of hours into. The amount of people that just have no idea what the hell is going on around the map and have no idea like what they're actually supposed to be doing at any given point in the round, or don't know how to do default setups executes, is absolutely insane for the high elo that I am actually playing at, or for the level of elo I'm playing at. I'm not playing at highest elo right now. I get that because I'm brain dead, right? But listen, guys, if you're brain dead and you don't want to be brain dead, I'm going to teach you how to actually develop your game sense. So please stay tuned. I just want to make a small disclaimer that, yes, it's kind of annoying to see all these people that just lack game sense abilities, but it's really not their fault. That's the big thing. It's not their fault unless they just have no desire to change it whatsoever. And that's one of the biggest points I want to talk about in this video, is you have to consciously want to change the way your game sense is working for you. Warral will put it very good when I watched his video a while back, and he basically said, play now to be good later. And that's one of the biggest things you want to actually focus on when you are playing. And we're gonna get started. I'm gonna teach you prepubescent fucking childs how to actually develop that peanut-sized brain into something of an acorn, at least an acorn. Or maybe even a fucking walnut, dude. Maybe even a walnut. Let's get started. So very quickly, what exactly is game sense? Now, game sense is the ability to actually understand and process what the hell is going on around the map. When a teammate dies around the map, you know how exactly to respond to it, where to move your players, and how to actually react to something changing within the round, and kind of predicting where enemy players will play, predicting how enemy players might rotate, and predicting to the maximum extent possible the areas that you should be playing in order to counteract what the enemy team may be setting up to do. Now, I'm just gonna say, there are so many guides online that go very in-depth about game sense, and the big problem with them is they're like 20 minutes long. So I'm going to very quickly sum it up for you guys. I want to make this a very short and sweet video and give you some advice on how you can develop your own game sense, because game sense is extremely important. The reason why game sense is important is because, yes, if you have good aim, sure, you might be able to rank to a certain point, but without game sense, you are eventually going to plateau, because there are players that have just as good of aim as you will have. There will always be a player with better aim than you. But game sense is something that you can develop, and it's unique to yourself. You can kind of make your own plays in your head, make your own strategies, and develop your own way of playing the actual game. And that will give you many more opportunities to actually set yourself up for things such as, making plays, winning rounds, and pulling shit out of the hat that should not happen. That is what game sense will help you accomplish very well. It will save you a lot of rounds that you would lose if you were only relying on your aim. So, how do you develop game sense? And the way you really do this is there are three main ways, but I'm sure you already know this, is watching tips and tricks videos, obviously, watching pro gameplay, analyzing your own play style, and, playing the game, right? Those are the ways that people generally improve on game sense, and it's very obvious to see that, right? When I started playing Counter-Strike, that's how I immediately improved, is I was watching videos on all these specific topics, trying to force this shit into my brain, cram it into my small brain as fast as possible, and play as much as I could to eventually hit Global Elite. And that's how I improved. That's the way I improved. But there are other ways to do it. Once I hit the Global Elite level, I noticed that there were players that their game sense was just tiers and tiers above mine. Like, I was at the global level, yes, but I was only 15. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know a lot of like niche shit like peeking angles, playing certain ways, learning my own play style. That shit was beyond me. So aside from doing all that analyzing shit, let's talk about what else you can do to actually improve on your game sense. So the big problem with players developing game sense is they will learn all this stuff, they will analyze all these pro games, they will grind on all these matches, but they will delete half of the shit that they're actually learning because they aren't even thinking about it. They lose a game, they don't even go back and process why they lost. That's one of the biggest things you need to do. When you lose a game, think about why you lost it, think about what you could have done better, try and process it and change and work around your playstyle, and just adjust your playstyle with each game you play just that little bit. Each time you're adding a little building block on top of the playstyle that you have already developed, on top of the player that you already are. Please stop playing games over and over, right? Just stop grinding the hell out of games and think to yourself, after playing all these games, why the fuck am I not getting any better? Why am I not improving? And then you end up tilting yourself because you don't know why you're not improving at all. If you just keep grinding at these games over and over, it's like hitting your fucking head against a wall for no reason at all. Sure, you might be getting a little bit better, your aim might be improving, but if you're not actually processing and trying to consciously think and be aware of what is happening in the game at all times, and constantly think about what you can be doing better and what mistakes you are making in the round, in the game, and what exactly you can improve on, then you are wasting time playing the game. You need to be constantly trying to improve when you are playing. Improvement doesn't just happen outside of the game. Improvement doesn't just happen automatically. You always have to process the information that you are taking in, and you always have to put it into practice. And that goes with mainly tutorials and pro gameplay. You have to put the shit you learn from pro gameplay and all these tip videos I'm putting out, you have to put them into practice in your own game sensibilities and your own gameplay. Constantly adapting. That's what Gamesense basically comes down to. You want to be constantly trying to adapt to what is happening in the game and constantly trying to fix out and iron all of these small kinks that you notice in your gameplay. Analyze what mistakes you are making mid-game. Analyze them, right? Figure out what you're doing wrong and fix it. If you keep running into B site and dying, stop doing that. If you've gotten picked once at B and you think it's a good idea to go again, like the next round, it's not. Fall back, rethink your strategy, rethink your approach to the round. If you are constantly trying to improve and you are constantly trying to think about what you are doing, your game sense will improve drastically. Over like a month or two's time, you will become a completely different player. But that's the struggle with it. You need to constantly be trying to improve, and you also need to be learning new things that you weren't already exposed to. Like if you don't know how to peek angles properly, that's something you need to learn very quickly and then start actually putting it into practice. I know this video is getting a little bit more into improving on your playstyle more than game sense, but the same principles apply towards game sense, where you are constantly retaining knowledge and improving on certain aspects of the game. If you are just focusing on those mistakes you are making and you are consciously being aware of the mistakes you are making, that will in turn help you improve on your map awareness and general game sense and game awareness overall. I might make another video on just specifically game sense and improving game sense, but for the most part, I have a formula made, right, that will help you actually be able to understand how to properly develop your game sense and your play style at the same time, pretty efficiently, pretty effectively. So to put this all into like a digestible format that you can follow yourself, it would be to take in information through pro games tutorials and recognizing your own mistakes and what you fall short on generally, the shit you usually get wrong, right? Now, next you want to retain that knowledge, and this is extremely important. Retention is one of the most important things. If you are just digesting information and all the shit you're reading online, watching online, and even recognizing your own habits, but you aren't retaining it at all, you just kind of wipe it clean, you just watch something or you recognize something and then you just fucking brain dump it, right? And you just go back to the same old thing. Retention is key in getting better. You need to retain your knowledge and you need to constantly be retaining your mistakes and what you are doing wrong. Use your retained knowledge and turn your bad habits into good habits. It's as simple as that, right? Recognize your bad habits and work around them and make them into good habits by either eliminating them or finding a different way to go about them, thus making it into a good habit that you can potentially adapt and eventually add into your own kit, right? And finally, all you have to do really is just rinse and repeat. Just keep doing this shit, right? You learn something new, you retain it, you put it into your playstyle, you move on, you do the same thing all over again, but with something else, another area of the game, whether it be peeking, whether it be clutching, right? You just retain the knowledge and you put it back into your playstyle, just back and forth constantly. And with this retained knowledge and with all this shit you're adding into your playstyle, make sure you're actually building on your playstyle, right? Build on your playstyle like it's a goddamn Lego house. So constantly be finding that new piece of Lego fucking furniture to put into your mansion. The mansion being your brain, right? That's a simple analogy for it. You have this house, and every time you retain a new chunk of knowledge, you're adding some piece of furniture into it, something new into it, to slowly make a more and more refined house, all whilst keeping the clutter free of it and cleaning up the debris in certain areas that you don't check often. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. See ya.